I like to use bum doubles.
You need to use a bum double.
Thanks a lot. Ready now?
Look, there's a speck on that screen. It looks like
Oh, no,
something
don't
on my
worry,
nose.
It's our anniversary tomorrow.
It's not our wedding anniversary. It's our anniversary of when we met.
Which is surely the most important anniversary. I think so. I suppose it depends. It depends on the circumstances.
Yeah.
Because I suppose if you just met at school and then didn't start going out until the fifth form, then maybe that wouldn't be quite so...
You met at school?
No. I'm meaning if we had met at school...
Oh, if we knew each other previously.
in the first year,
right.
you probably wouldn't celebrate that as an anniversary.
No. But we met on a specific day, didn't we? At a specific event, not an event, a work event.
Yes.
So that's why it's just in my memory.
In York.
In York.
Yes.
Yes, it
Which,
was.
as I understand it, the floodwaters are dropping.
Right.
Which is very good.
Gosh, terrible.
But we've been filming, we've been doing a favourite place to knit, our very first one of 2016, our brand new season.
We went out on Monday, didn't we?
And the rivers were raging.
They were absolutely raging, yeah. But it made what we went to look at and what we went to film
Even
really
better.
fantastic.
So you'll find out all about that
Yeah,
later
we had a
on.
fantastic day actually, didn't we?
We did.
We had a lovely day out.
We really did.
Yeah.
So it's our first proper show of 2016 because, of course, our episode 40 was filmed in 2015.
Was it?
Yes.
Right.
Because there's no way we could film, although I did turn it around in record time. And I do have to say, a special hats off goes to Nathan because we had some serious technical issues and we had to redo certain things and it was really frustrating. And it's all because Frank was sat over the top of us and it was totally messing up everything.
Frank, it's your fault.
Well, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because when we filmed at Christmas the year before last, we had some issues. Now, I'm sure that they were related to the geographical area.
Yes.
Now, that wasn't a storm. I think that was the nuclear power station who was messing with things.
Do you?
Well, something was.
Something was definitely messing
It
with
was either that or the thick walls.
Well, it could be the thick walls or it could be some kind of spirit in your mum's house.
Or maybe it's just mould.
Well, that's a possibility too.
It's interesting, actually. I was chatting to Nana Wendy the other day and she was telling me that she's been having this problem with her. She thought she had a cold and she was constantly sniffing. And I asked her some of her symptoms and she described to me to the absolute perfection.
It's allergies, I'm telling you. It's a mould allergy.
So I said to her, I mean, what's funny is she starts sneezing when Steve turns on the microwave.
That's a bit bizarre, isn't it?
Isn't that funny? Now, it must be something that's gone into the vents of the microwave that's then coming out.
That microwave is about 50 billion years old.
Well, that's not quite true because they did have to replace it. They had a first one which was metal, which was very old.
But it's not just a microwave, it's a cooker as well, isn't it?
You should have seen their old one.
Right.
Their old one was like a catering thing.
But it's massive, isn't it?
I think you're thinking of the old one.
Oh, have they got a new one?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I think you're thinking of the old one because the old one was huge. It was like a catering thing and it was old. Anyway,
we are waffling already.
But yes, we met 13 years ago.
13
yesterday, of
years
course.
ago. It will be yesterday when this comes out.
Yes, 13 years ago yesterday. And I mean, it's interesting because that does make me think of the lives that we used to lead because we were both corporate bots.
We were.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's sort of made me just think a little bit about a number of things that we've spoken about how happy we are with the way that we're living life now. And something that got ingrained into me from a very early age when I was going through CA training.
Gosh. Yeah.
And then premium bank manager training.
CA is a customer advisor.
And then I went through bank manager training as well.
Yeah.
And what they drummed into you from a very early age, and I think most corporate life does this, is that you should have a plan. And the plan should be where you're going to be in a year, where you're going to be in 5 years, and where you're going to be in 10 years.
Yeah.
And every action that you make should be geared up towards making sure that you get to the places that you set out within your plan.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It becomes part of your psyche, doesn't it?
It does.
And you don't stop and look around and see what's in front of you. And what has happened this last year, I don't know if it's been the same for you or maybe you were already there, but we both seem a lot more content with...
We do kind of. And I did change the way that I thought when Dan was ill, but I do more live for today. And I don't really... It's not intentional now, but back then I was kind of intentionally not thinking about next week, just because next week was going to be horrible or what, for whatever reason. And I just think, if you just focus on what's in front of you today, what have you got to do today, then I've certainly been much happier.
Yeah.
And not thinking too far ahead. And I know some people might think that's frivolous.
No.
But...
No, I think it's about a balance because we know, we were only speaking the other day about where we want to be with things.
We have, we do, everybody I think has long-term plans.
What we're saying
I don't do things every day thinking about those long-term plans.
We were historically being governed by those plans.
Yeah.
When actually... it should have been us that was governing those plans.
Very target-driven,
yes.
And... I rebelled against targets and I absolutely despised having targets in the bank.
Corporate life, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Real life, that's something totally different.
I think so.
And I think what's so important is in your everyday life, if you get up today and you feel a bit rubbish, and we've come to accept, and I'm certainly a lot easier with this, if I'm feeling bad one day, we don't ponder on it and worry about it. We just accept the fact. Well,
I've tried not to do that, although I do tend to worry about things.
Because
I am trying.
I'm sure that tomorrow, as is always the case, you'll wake up.
You will feel better.
And you'll
that has been the case with me. With, as I said a couple of weeks, in the last episode, I've been having all these horrible issues with my back, and this past couple of weeks, I've had days where I've just been so fed up. By the end of the day, I'm just like being in pain all day, and I'm like, I'm just absolutely sick of this.
Well, what was interesting was when we filmed the last episode, we were in the midst of a rather challenging situation.
Yeah, and I went to the doctors. I did go to the doctors, and Dan came with me, and he tested my reflexes and asked me about my symptoms and everything. And I've been referred to the physio, and I've got a physio appointment at the end of next week. So I'm hoping that that is going to help.
What you're seeing here is you're seeing the perfect example of how 2 weeks is an exceptionally long time, because what I was referring to, Kay, was on the day that we filmed, I was still in the midst of the whole...
right, yeah.
I got an infection, it was all happening around the time when we filmed. But, it just shows you, though, you get up, you focus on something positive, and you feel a whole lot better.
Yes.
And we did.
Yes.
So, I think our message of the year is just enjoy the day.
Enjoy the day.
And do think about tomorrow, but don't let it rule today.
Don't let it rule today. That's that's a really good way of thinking of it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might feel totally different about tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Yeah. That was Bryony, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did she used to say that?
When she was little, she used to say tomorrow, for like the day after tomorrow. It's really cute.
I think we should all do that.
Yeah.
Yes. So from now on, it's not the day after tomorrow, it's tomorrow.
That's what the film should be called then.
The
day after tomorrow. It should be called tomorrow. We've been watching, me and Bryony have been watching disaster films just lately, and I think she's inherited my love of disaster movies. So we watched The Day After Tomorrow, which she loves, and she watched that like 3 days on the trot. There's a couple of little bits in it she don't like, but... And then I introduced her the other day to Dante's Peak. Pierce Brosnan, wonderful, 1997, I think.
That surprises me every time you say that.
What? Dante's Peak.
It just doesn't sound right.
Dan
from
expects me to say it in a Yorkshire accent and go Dante's Peak.
She suddenly goes all posh.
Do not-
Dante's Peak.
It is Dante's Peak. That's how you say it. I don't understand how else you're supposed to say it. Anyway,
Kay Jones,
she loved that.
what's
too.
on your needles?
Oh, I just started a row. Shall I just... Oh, gosh, right.
Sorry.
I'll work along the row as I talk about it.
Good idea.
This is a pair
That's called slick presenting.
Oh, gosh, really? Well,
Yes.
that'd be a first, wouldn't it?
Yes.
This is my pair of socks knit from the fondant fibre yarn that I spoke about last time, the lovely Laura's frock. And actually, because I've been working on a couple of other things that I've finished, I've only just really picked these back up again from the last time I worked on them. But if you remember last time, I decided that I was going to do the Hermione's pattern.
We do remember, Kay.
Well, I changed my mind.
Oh.
I'm allowed to do that.
We were all settled in
I know.
and looking forward to it, and then you've gone and changed it.
I did start the Hermione's pattern, but I decided that I really just wanted to be able to see the beautiful yarn. And the pattern was just disguising it just a tiny little bit. So I ripped back the tiny bit that I'd done. I'd only done 2 repeats of it, I think. I'd not done very much. And I just started knitting plain, and I'm much happier. I think I'm in that frame of mind at the minute where I just like going round and round and round and round and round. And I just find that really relaxing. And I don't think I've necessarily slowed down the past couple of weeks. I just feel like I'm knitting quite slowly. I don't know why that is, whether it's just my mind frame at the minute needs that kind of more relaxed action rather than just knitting as fast as I possibly can.
Well, you never do that.
Well, no, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I think, oh, I really just want to get this done. So you do try and knit a bit faster, don't you? But I do feel like I'm knitting more, in a more relaxed manner. But I've got both socks going on as I had previously, and one's a little bit further on than the other. But I'm only on the legs still. But that's where I'm up to. There we go. Oh, doesn't it look lovely, that yarn?
Have you done the legs yet?
I haven't done the legs yet. No. Does it look like I've finished the legs?
No.
Does that look like a finished leg? I don't think so. No, I haven't finished the legs yet, but I'm working my way down. Using DPNs for these ones, and I went through a little magic loop phase, and I'll talk about that with one of my finished objects. But at the minute, I am very in a DPN frame of mind, and I'm using Knit Pro Symphonies. It is Symphonies, isn't it? Yes, Knit Pro Symphonies for these. I really like these needles, and I've tried, as you know, I've spoke at length about different needles, and I do go back to these ones, and I do really like them, and I do really like wood at the moment as well. I am still in that wooden needles phase. So I'm just working my way down the legs on these, and I'm just doing a plain sock, 64 stitches on 2.25 mils, and the yarn's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Deb, if you're watching, I love this yarn. Look how gorgeous and speckly, and it's so lovely. So thank you so much, Deb.
Could you just remind me again?
Yes.
You know when I'm purling round a corner.
Oh Lord, I'm just going to change.
No,
the start of
don't,
that
because it's
round.
important. Is that where it goes?
Yes.
Excellent.
See, I need to do it to be sure. Yes, that's right.
That's now in a different place.
What do you mean it's in a different place?
It was there before.
Well, that's not right then.
So it's there then?
Yes.
Right. Cool. And are you done?
With that one, I'm done.
Excellent.
Yes.
So it's time for me.
Did you say Kay Jones?
I did.
All right. Dan Jones?
Yes.
What's on your...
You had me doubting myself then, but I definitely did, because I cut into you talking about something.
Maybe I just don't really hear it anymore.
It's because I cut over you talking about something.
All right.
So you probably just didn't catch it, but
Did
that's...
I just say it?
That's how I got you going.
Did I
You
just
did.
say yours?
You did.
Right.
This is no good. These are mittens, and it's a pattern by a very new designer. I think she's very good.
She's pretty good. Yeah.
Now you may not have heard of her.
You might not have heard of her.
She's called Susan.
Yes.
Susan B. Anderson. So I've not done too much. I have done a bit on this. I think I've knit a couple of nights on this.
Yeah.
And it's in Deb's yarn again.
It is.
It's in the handspun
It
with
is.
love colourway.
Oh, it's on the floor.
I remember.
Yarn down.
And I think they're going to be lovely. And I think they'll be... I think these will be...
Oh, look at that.
Spring mittens.
Oh, that'd be so nice. Isn't that beautiful?
Mittens for the spring, is that what you mean? Would be so nice.
Do you know what would be good?
What?
If you had these finished for when we went to Chatsworth.
Well, I will.
Because doesn't it look like Chatsworth House? I seem to
And
think
I
everything
wonder-
looks like Chatsworth House. I think because of my love for it, they should just let me move in. Emma, if you're watching, go and tell the Duke and Duchess to see if they'll give me a little corner of Chatsworth
To knit it.
to live in.
That'd be cool. No, if they could just give us a corner, it's like a knitting corner.
Oh yeah.
They could have like a knitting group.
Yeah,
That'd be such a cool idea.
we're coming in April, tell them.
They should do that. They should have a knitting group in the library.
They should.
And people
You're
come...
not allowed into the library bit, are you?
But the knitting group would be.
They would.
Yes.
We could just sit in there and knit as people were walking past. We could be like an exhibit.
Yeah. Art. It's
Yes,
art.
it's living art.
Oh, come on. There you go.
Oh, we've got it. Yes. This is it.
We're in. So I'm continuing with my mittens. And how much more do you think I need of a rib?
Oh, a bit more.
But how much is a bit more?
I
Do it
think
with your
the
fingers.
I think the pattern says 3 inches. Needs to be about here.
That's more than 3 inches.
That's not more than 3 inches, is it?
I assure you that is.
Well, about 3 inches. Maybe it looks bigger because it's thick yarn.
So are you ready for something new?
Yes.
Well, where is it then?
What shall I
She's
talk
not
about
ready.
next?
You can talk about anything you like.
Right, well, I'm going to talk about this then.
What is
I'm going
this?
to put that sock there.
Hey, Jones, what else is on your needles?
Now, this is... I didn't talk about this last time. Or the time before, possibly. But this is my Stitching Time blanket that I've been knitting. Now, I've done a bit of thinking about this blanket. If you remember, this is the one with the squares that I'm knitting. So it's a mitered square blanket, but then I'm bordering it like the log cabin blanket. And I'm theming it as months of the year. So I'm going to have 12 blocks, which will just be, for this size that I'm knitting, it'll just be like a lap blanket. But I'm doing 12 blocks, each themed for the months of the year. So far, I have finished another one since I last showed you, but I've got January, which is beautiful, I think. Haven't done February yet, so what else have we got? This one is April. Eastery colours, I think. So we've got April. And then we've got October, which is all Halloween-y colours. That's Bryony's favourite so far. Oops, sorry, darling, I'm sorry. And then we've got this one. Yes, this one is November, which is all sparkle, everything sparkle yarn in it, and it's all firework colours, because this one, November makes me think of bonfire night here in England. So this one is November, and then I have finished December. I did finish it within December. I finished it, might have been after Christmas actually, but it was done before the end of December. And here's my December block. Isn't it lovely? So this is all Christmassy yarns, lovely golds. And Christmas to me is red, green and gold. I'm not one of these people that likes, you know, purples and pinks and things that you see at Christmas. I'm a red, green and gold Christmas sort of person. So this is the December block. So I've got 5, is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 done. And I've got all of the yarns picked out for February. So February is obviously Valentine's Day. That's what it screams to me. So I have chosen all yarns that to me seem like Valentine's colours. So I've gone for reds, you know, lovely deep reds and pinks and deep purples. Beautiful. I've got a variety of yarns. I've got some No Makers Tweedy. I have got, oh gosh, this one's gorgeous, Legion Men Fibros, the Spotlight base that I love, that I've spoken about before. This is Venetian Sunset, look at that one. Gorgeous. Another Leading Men Fibre Arts. Space Cadet yarn. I don't think I've ever knit with Space Cadet. thought that was lovely. And then this one, I think that one is a regia or an opal, I'm not sure exactly. So all of those beautiful reds and, you know, love heart sort of colours. So I've got all of those picked out ready to start my February square. And really the idea behind this blanket was that each month I knit that particular month's square. Now, when I said I was going to put the pattern out, I thought, well, I'm just going to have to get this knit really, really quickly. And I don't really like knitting like that, you know, where you're rushing through something. And they actually take quite a long time to knit. It's not a quick thing, you know, because you've got 9 mitered squares and then the border, and the borders do take a little while depending on the placement of where it is in your blanket, you know, and how deep your borders need to be. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to put a few notes on my Ravelry project page, because I know a couple of people have started making this themselves anyway. So I'm going to put a few notes on my Ravelry page, but what I think I'm going to do is record some tutorials for our lovely patrons that go into a bit more detail about how I pick up stitches and how many rows and the size and all that kind of thing, and how I've planned my colours, all those sorts of things. So I will, like I say, I'll put a few notes on my Ravelry page. So I think what I'm saying is I'm not going to put out, you know, a pattern that you can download, just because it's going to, I want to take the time with it, and I want
By the time you've done it, everyone will be knitting one anyway.
I know.
Because they already have started.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Which is cool.
Which is great,
Yeah.
you know, and that's fantastic. But I don't want to rush through it, and I want to enjoy it. And I do want to knit each of the squares in the relevant months. So because I've done October, November, December, I'll actually finish this in September. So I think, you know, that's something for me to look forward to, and then that way I can take my time and I can enjoy it, and that really to me is the most important thing. I really don't want to have to rush to do something. So I hope that's all okay for everybody.
You know, windswept.
The hat?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just wondering if there's like a colour that's associated with wind. Is there like would it be like a grey colour? Would it be like clouds?
I don't know, there's a colour associated with wind.
I was just wondering if there is like a colour that you associate with wind.
Why do you say?
Well, I just suddenly thought, you know, there's so many colours that you associate with certain times of the year. Wind is something that, you know, you walk outside and you experience
it's going to
every
be
day.
Depends
on the time.
I suppose it depends on what kind of wind, doesn't it? Because if it was like a storm wind, it'd be dark greys.
Okay, that's maybe what I was thinking of. I was maybe
Right.
thinking of like a stormy wind.
Oh well, it'd be greys, wouldn't it?
But then there could be like a summer breeze.
A summer breeze. That's what a summer breeze is going to be. Beautiful, you know, blues, maybe like my jumper or.
And we'd want some handspun from Deb that smells of summery stuff.
Right.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
What are you on about?
You were talking about colours and about
right.
colours that you associate with certain times of year.
Right.
And to be honest, when you say September, I think Earth, Wind and Fire.
I can't remember what I chose for September. What did I choose for September? That's a good question.
You see, September, it is wind.
Autumnal colours, I've said.
Right. And what colours have you put down for that?
Well, I haven't, but autumnal colours are, you know, rich golds and russets and browns and oranges.
Isn't that an apple, a russet?
Well, it is, but
Is it a colour?
It's also a colour, yes.
Is it red?
Russet is like, no, it's like a rusty sort of browny red, isn't it? Russet.
Okay.
So that's what I've got down.
What colour's a russet apple?
Well, I don't know, probably that.
Right. I think I've had one. I don't think I liked it.
They've got like a rough sort of skin, haven't they, a russet?
Yeah.
It's not.
Maybe they're nice if you cook with them.
No, I think it's an eating apple.
Right. It's traditional English, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, a russet.
I'm sure my mum would know all about them.
She would.
Yes.
Yes.
It's my turn again then, is it?
It is. So that's my blanket, and like I said, pop and look at my Ravelry. If you want to knit one yourself, just pop over at my Ravelry page, and I will put a few notes on there. So.
It's my lovely socks. These lovely opal socks.
Ugh.
I've decided that I'm definitely a sock knitter. I'm much more engaged with my knitting if I'm doing something like a sock. And I suppose it does depend on what mood you're in, because I totally get, Kay, what you mean when you said I'm just want to go round and round at the moment. But I don't know. I quite like. I certainly try and squeeze in more knitting time if I'm engaged by it, rather than it being. I mean, knitting for me is very much a relaxation thing. You know, clear the brain, and it helps me sleep well. And it does, even if I'm knitting a sock and thinking about it. So I was just going to say, maybe, you know, going round and round is good for that, just clearing the mind. But to be honest, if you're concentrating on something like knitting a sock, then that also clears the mind, doesn't it? Because you have to focus so much.
Yeah.
And the problem I had with this sock is I did a new heel, but I didn't actually know I was doing a new heel.
It was all very confusing. We had a very confusing few evenings. We were on different wavelengths entirely.
I just didn't know I was doing a new heel, and I think if I tweaked that, I would have.
Well, it's not a new heel, right?
I've never knit that heel before.
It's a square heel. I
Never
think
done
it's
that
also
before.
called a Dutch heel, isn't it?
Right.
Instead of the one that's more like a triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great. I love doing new things, and it made me maybe think about trying some other new stuff as well.
Yeah.
Because there's a few cool ones that I saw in that Lara Neal book.
In the Lara Neal book, yeah.
That is just brilliant. I know everyone has seen that, haven't they?
I think
Sock
I think
architecture.
everybody's aware of it. Yes, yeah. Sock architecture. You just said, didn't you? Sorry.
But from a beginner knit, I mean, I don't know what type of a knitter am I?
You're not a beginner, I wouldn't say anymore.
Intermediate.
Really.
Intermediate then.
Yeah.
From an
Advanced beginner, if that's such a thing.
I think that's maybe intermediate.
Intermediate.
For an intermediate sock knitter, I picked that book up and I found it very easy to sort of look at and read a bit.
Right.
And it didn't make me think, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. And that was quite cool to be able to do that.
Right.
I found that quite...
I think I said before we should have a look at that book and maybe just try and knit a couple of things from it. You know, different types of construction.
There was one heel that looked cool. I think it might be the Balbriggan one.
Oh right, because
It
he
came up
likes
as
the
a question.
bootstrap one. There was one called a bootstrap
Yes.
sock, which you really like the look of that one.
Right.
So it could be that.
That one as well, probably.
Yeah.
But the yarn is just great. I know I said it last time, but I'm much further down now. So I don't think I'd got the heel flap finished.
No,
And I hadn't done the heel
think
turn.
so.
So you can see...
You're on the
I'm knitting
foot
down the
now,
foot.
aren't you? You've done the
Yes.
decreases. You're on the foot.
One of the challenges with this yarn definitely has been the splitty nature.
I think it's quite loosely plied.
Now, this is no criticism of the yarn. This is just
No.
because it's a thinner yarn. Because it's the first time
Yeah.
I've used a thinner yarn. It just means that I found it easier to split it when I was,
Yeah,
especially
it's-
picking up the.
It's not a high twist. You know, it's not. It looks fairly average. You know, averagely plied, I suppose. But I will admit that when I had to tink back for you a few times, it did split quite easily. So.
But that is no criticism of the yarn.
No.
I love the yarn.
No.
And I wouldn't want anyone to think that I was criticising it because I'm not.
No.
I would knit with this again and again and again.
Yeah.
For socks, and I do think that.
And it's the opal yarn that we spoke about before, the
Yes.
DK weight.
I think I'd probably like to do a few socks this year. So yes, there's my sock, and I think we should find out what else is on your needles.
Cool. Let me just finish this little row.
What is it coming up next?
Well, it's another pair of socks. I seem to be all about the blankets and the socks just lately. I do have other things on the go, but they're design projects, so
Yes, and that's maybe
it's
another.
difficult for me to speak about them at the minute because they're not, they're partway through, and until something's definite, I don't really like talking about it too much.
But things are happening.
Yes, and I'm
Which is
hoping
very exciting.
I'll talk about that again on Endy Bits, along with a little bit of sewing talk. So we'll do that in
It's a
Endy
chart.
Bits. Oh, it's a chart. Oh. Right.
It's a corporate spreadsheet.
Gosh, can you remember those?
Yes.
This is the sock for Dan, the R2D2 sock. And again, On the last podcast, I hadn't actually set up a project page. I have now. I was really good the other day, and I updated all of my project pages. So I have done. I know you never do. I have put notes on the project pages to how I did the striping. You know, how many rows of each. But bear in mind, this yarn is doubled, so this effectively is a worsted weight sock. So, you know, if you were knitting it in fingering weight, you might just have to change the number of rows, you know, to make it look like that.
Isn't it worsted?
Tilly says worsted. Oh, Tilly. I've been rewatching all of Tilly's podcasts these past few days. Oh, it's been lovely visiting with you, Tilly. I loved it. And I was watching all the summery episodes, and you kept saying, oh, it's a beautiful summer and the sun's shining. I'm like, oh gosh, I really need a bit of that. I haven't done a lot on this, mainly because...
Oh yes, Tilly.
Oh. When I picked up the stitches, you know, to start doing the decreases, I wasn't enjoying the magic loop. I think it's because I had a lot more stitches on my needle than I normally would have. Do you know, because I spoke about this particular heel turn last time, and I forgot to mention the book that it was from. I do apologise. It's... You see, I'm going to blank again. Right, well, I'll get down to... Can you write across the screen what it was? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Right, I'll get down to write across the bottom of the screen the actual book title. If it comes to me as I'm talking, I will tell you. But I ended up with more stitches to decrease back down, and that just made the magic loop really cumbersome. I just found it, you know, I was really getting frustrated with it. So I thought, right, I'm going to move it onto DPNs, and of course I didn't have a 3.5mm DPN. I went through all of them, didn't have 3.5mm, so I had to order some, and they came yesterday. So I've switched it onto DPNs, and I'm much happier, and I'm still working down the gusset decreases. I mean, it's quite a long decrease, just because, you know, like I said, there was more stitches to decrease down. So I am working my way now down the decreases, and then I'll be working down the foot. One thing that I might do actually with this, because I sort of wasn't looking forward to knitting another one in a way. You know, I've done it, and do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I've done that one now. But somebody sent me a message on Instagram. It's lovely, Florence. She sent me a picture of the. She was doing the same thing. She'd you know, copied what I'd done and was doing the same thing. But for the second sock, she did it as BB8. So I might do that. And you can have a mismatched pair. One's R2D2 and one's BB8. So I'd only need to get a skein of orange, because I've got the grey and I've got the white. And I had a look, and they do a nice orange that looks kind of BB8ish. So I think that's what I might do, and then that will just maybe break up the, you know, the mindset of, oh, I've got to knit another one. So I'm working on that, and I'm not in any massive rush to get those done, really, clearly, because I've hardly knit anything since last time. But I am enjoying them still, so yeah.
Cool.
So that's those. And it's Drops Fable. I think I said that, didn't I? It's Drops Fable that I've doubled. Is it your turn?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, right.
It is my turn.
Okay. I didn't know what I was supposed to say.
You're supposed to move it along, woman.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's my Baltic Declan's hat.
This is
It's
so...
Kay's Baltic
Look, oh my
Declan's
gosh, look at
hat.
the colour of this. You can see the colour of it. Oh, look at that. And how nice with my eyes is that going to look? Look.
Very nice.
I'll peek over the top. What do you think?
Alpico.
Pico?
That's a new type of edging. It's called Alpico.
Alpico.
Yes. Why can I can smell... So I suddenly got a waft of hot cross buns.
We've got some in the cupboard.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe you're just channeling it because you want one.
No, I'm telling you. It smells like someone's cooking hot cross buns. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be great to live next door to a baker's that every morning at 10 o'clock...
They brought you in a hot cross bun.
No, if they just put the hot cross buns in the oven and just open the window,
right.
Everyone would be in, wouldn't they? That's how it used to be in the old days. Now, when we were driving through, we've been doing lots of work actually this last week. Would you believe anyone? I know we shouldn't talk about Christmas, and we'll only talk about it for a second. But anyone who is missing the Bakery Bears Advent Calendar, don't you worry, because we've started filming the 2016 version. Let me tell you, last year it was a very quick, sudden thought towards the end of the year. This year we're ahead of the game, and it's going to be mammoth. I shall say nothing more. But also, while we were out yesterday filming, while we were out earlier on this week filming for our favourite places to knit, today we also started to pick up some filming for our future favourite places to knit, which is very exciting.
Did we?
We did. We started our James Herriot.
Oh, right.
The lands. I can't remember what we called that one actually.
Oh.
The World of James Herriot or something like that. I can't.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, I can't remember what I called it.
Right.
I'll check, and whatever the name it is, that's what the episode will be called. That's coming in a future episode. And we were stopping, weren't we, at certain points and filming the dales, and it did make me think about the life, the route of wool from the birth of the lamb to the sheep producing its first fleece to it then going to the spinner and being spun and then dyed and then going into the shop. And I think it was just stopping off at some of the villages that we stopped at. It was just great to see. And also talk to some of the locals who were sort of saying that life is like it's always been, and the same families have always been here.
Yeah,
and
they did say that, didn't they? We were talking to a lady who worked at Hardraw Force at the shop, the little cafe there, and she was saying that she lived in the village of Hardraw, and she said that they'd got like families that lived there that have been there for like 7-8 generations, and that's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's how the world used to be.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in the old days when travel wasn't so easy, you stuck around home, you know, you lived in the same place for a long time. And when you're out in the Dales, as we found, where we went to is probably only about 25-30 miles away. But because of the type of roads, it just takes so long to get there.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that it's so close.
It's so close. Yeah, it seems
Beautiful
like another
Dales
world,
country.
really.
The world that, you know, James Herriot used to drive through and go and take, of course, Alf White used to drive through and go and, you know, take care of the animals and I'm sure you used to take care of loads of sheep.
Oh, we will have.
Yeah. Maybe Helen knit.
Maybe she did.
I don't even know what her real name is.
No.
I'll find out for the episode. But yes, it's my Baltic hat.
Oh, look at that colour. Oh my gosh. Is that not amazing, that colour? And it really is that colour.
Yes.
I so can't wait to wear that hat.
Cool. And I don't think, you know, I think you'll get away with this in, you know, a cold autumn day.
I'm going to wear it in summer.
I was going to say, you probably wear it in summer. What else?
We live in England, remember?
Is on your needles?
Well, the last thing I wanted to show... Oh, it's not the last thing. Well, the last two things together I wanted to show you is my sock yarn blanket. Now, I've been working a lot on this. And, you know, it's what I was saying before, you know, of an evening I sit down and I think, right, I should knit on that. But, you know, I said to Bryony last night, I said, oh, I'm knitting on this, but I really want to knit another square in my blanket. And she just went, well, go and get it, mummy, and knit a square. And it was so... it was just her little brain was like, well, if that's what you want to do, then do it. I don't understand what your problem is. So I said, oh, do you know what? I'm going to do that. So I did. So I have been knitting a lot on this just because I love it. And it's just so nice to knit on. And I have finished another row. And I think what I'll do in future is...
Is that the one that's going to be the runner?
No, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this yet because I do love just knitting on it right now. So maybe I'll have this one to be really big, and that's why I wanted to talk about the other one that I'm knitting.
You should do a runner though, because that would be something we would use all the time.
I know.
So you really should do a runner.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe this one will be a runner.
Because you could always start another one.
A bed runner. Well, I could always start another. I've got another one on the go, haven't I? So
I really think that the bed runner should be one that you've spent some time at and you really like. Because with the greatest of respect, whatever the other one is, it's not going to get a lot of use.
Right.
Is it?
Well, I don't know. Bryony wants one, so maybe the other
It'll
one
get pulled out, you know, every so often and used. But the bed runner will be used every day.
That's true.
So one that you've put yarns in that you love, you spent loads of time on.
Yeah.
let's have it as something that...
Yeah, so maybe that's what I'll do. But I think last time, I'd got 3 more squares to do of the 12 days of Christmas, hadn't I? So I'd knit 9 on the row. I've finished that row and it's 25 on each row, and I've started the other one. But I'll show you from where I was last time. 1, 2, 3. So I was at this point here on the row last time. So I'll show you. So I'm going to hold this in front of your face, darling. I'm sorry. So I've knit from over here all the way along to the end to this golden square. So I've done all of that row, and then last night I started another row and I've done these 2 here. So I mean, I'll pick out a couple of yarns that I just wanted to tell you about. I've put in Dan's Vallum Hadriani socks, the lovely fondant fibre Hadrian's Wall yarn, and then the other yarns are largely what Bryony chose. She loves just going in the basket and choosing the next colour for me, so I'll just let her do that. But a couple of them I just wanted to mention. This one here is a sock blank, and it's one of the ones that Amber sent me. I think it was Leading Men Fibre Arts, Amber, wasn't it? This one. And I've never actually, look, you can see can you see the curly little springy bit of yarn? Never actually knit fully. I have had a sock blank mini before, but I actually washed it to get rid of some of the kink. With this one I thought, you know what, I'm just going to knit it straight from the curly little mini and see how I liked it. And I didn't have a problem with it at all knitting from it. It seemed no different. Now whether that's just the way I knit or what it was, I don't know, but Amber, I loved it and I didn't have a problem at all. And you know, admittedly the square maybe looks a little bit wiggly, you know, the stitches are not quite as neat as on the other ones, but that doesn't bother me at all, you know. And it's kind of a special little square. I'll always know which one that one is. And then this one I love. It's no great shock. The colour's a bit washed out, but it's kind of lilacs and pinks and whites. This one came from, I think, Erica. I think you sent me that one, and it's a lovely base. It's very springy and lovely. And then that last one is another crafty girl from the Rainbow Minis, I believe, and I just loved that colour. And then last night I started a new row, and I started it with a little opal mini that I picked up in the yarn shop the other day. She had all the little opal minis under like a cake stand, you know, where you take off the glass dome. She had all the little minis under there, so I bought a couple and this was one of them. I loved these kind of neutrally colours.
And you should say which the shop is, because just in case anyone catches this and then doesn't see the bit.
Oh, doesn't see the end bit.
Yeah.
It's called New Jersey, and loads of people were like, "Oh, I live there." It's called New Jersey, and it's in Bedale in North Yorkshire.
But unfortunately, and as is the case with lots of the shops in this country,
don't really have a proper website.
She doesn't have an online shop, so it's only worth you taking note of this
if you live or are visiting the area. If
you are in England. Or planning a visit soon.
Yeah, and I know Sue Brown said that she didn't know it was there, so I think she's going to go in, which is... So that was one I got from there, and then this one is also one of the balls that I got from there, but this is a full ball, and this is some sock yarn I've never seen before, and it's an Italian sock yarn, and I just really wanted to just see what it knit like. And that's this one, and this is just part of the colour repeat, because these are obviously quite small squares. But can you see the blue? Sorry, I'll move that thing there. Can you see that blue speckly line down here? That bit of the skein looks so pretty, and I'll show you when we show Endy Bits. So nice. So I started that other row, and that's 302 squares now.
Cool.
I've knit. So that leads me on to just mention my pinky purple blanket, which I know I've not spoke about in many weeks. And yes, it has been sadly neglected, and that is only because I've just really wanted to knit on the great big blanket, and I think because it's chilly and it's just nice to have on your knee. But I just wanted to quickly show you that one, and this is the one that I'm knitting. So this one might become Bryony's, because it's very girly, isn't it?
It's not very wide.
It's not very wide at the moment, no, but I'm making it wider, darling.
Right.
I just decided to start another row, I think. No, it'll be wider than that.
Just when I compare it to the other one?
No, it's going to be wider than that,
Right.
isn't it? So that's my pinky purple, and I am going to get back to that. And maybe what I'll end up doing is working on the big one until that's finished, and then working on this one. I've not fully decided yet, but I've got lots of lovely minis waiting for me. I've got some that people have sent me. Lovely Sarah. I know there's lots of Sarahs out there, but you know who you are, Sarah. Sent me a whole bag of beautiful pink minis, and there's some gorgeous yarns in here. Lots of Posh Yarn. Posh Yarn is a UK online shop. You know, lots of yarns. This is 50% merino, 50% silk. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful yarns. And sorry about the crinkly noise. This one's another Posh Yarn, and this is mulberry silk and cashmere, for heaven's sake. Look at that. So I can't wait to get to those. But, you know, like I say, I am kind of focusing on my big blanket at the minute, but this one has not been forgotten, and I will get back to it. And it's in my beautiful bag from Sasha. Oh, Sasha, love this bag.
You finished?
Yes, I think that's everything.
I've decided that this is the year of knitting in public.
Oh, he has. Oh, look, I left my blanket out.
I knit in public when we were out just the other day.
He did, and I didn't. I was sat there like this.
It's very liberating.
Just got his knitting out.
It's very liberating. We shouldn't wait for National Knitted Public Day.
No,
we should
we
just
should.
get on with it.
Yeah, we should, you're right.
Get on. You know, if you think maybe if you're a bit nervous about doing it, maybe the day to start is National Knitting Public Day.
Maybe so.
But then once you've got over those nerves, then just get on with it, because it's very liberating, and it is. You do feel. Now I know that picture we took. You could see the whites of my eyes, but
you did that on purpose.
Yeah, I did. That wasn't like I'm knitting in public. I'm terrified. I think it's a nice thing to see, and I think people think it's a nice thing to see.
Nobody commented though, did they? Which I found a bit strange. I expected somebody to say something to you.
Well, there wasn't that many people.
There wasn't that many people there, no. But,
but that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, it was a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing that, because, you know, maybe if you thought, especially if you're a relatively shy person, if you get your knitting out, you think someone's going to come up and start talking to you straight away. Maybe that's not something you'd want to do. So, you know, perhaps, I think people are a lot more, we live in a much more liberal world now than certainly we did 10 years ago, even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do know that it still can be trying sometimes. I know that Nathan said that he had an issue when he was on the bus once.
Really?
Yes, someone stood up and moved.
And moved?
Yeah,
because he was knitting?
Because he got his knitting out. Him and his friend got their knitting out. No, they were on the tube. That's what it was. They were on the tube, and someone just stood up and walked away.
That's mad, isn't it?
Well, do you know what? Fine.
Let them get on with it.
All I'm doing is knitting.
It's their issue, not yours.
Exactly. But now I got my knitting out, and no one said a word, and everything was fine. Yeah. Okay, sat there like, oh no, I can't. It's very funny. Speaking of being out and about and knitting, maybe we should go and see where we were out and about and knitting.
Shall we? It was lovely.
So, I can't remember if we said that we were going to do this first episode. I don't think we did, or maybe we did. Oh, maybe we did. I can't remember. Well, whether we did or whether we didn't, it's time to finish off our journey into the legend of Robin Hood.
Yes.
So, the first episode we did ages ago. The second episode is the final episode on the legend of Robin Hood, is coming right now. We're in another location from the wonderful film, the Kevin Costner film. So we're going to go and explore that, and explore Robin Hood's merry men, and also the people who weren't so merry, the guys who he used to fight against as well. Right. So let's go now and let's explore. 2016,
It is.
and his favourite place is to knit.
Yay.
It's time for a brand new season. Isn't that exciting?
I'm very excited.
Now, where are we?
We are at Hardraw Force.
Yes, but we are parked in the car park of a pub.
We are.
You wouldn't think so, though, would
Kind
you?
of bizarre.
Yeah. And there's some amazing toilets with showers and everything.
Well, I think that's all new.
Right. Over that way, there's a pub, a 13th century coaching inn called the Green Dragon Inn. And Hardraw Force, actually, it's in the grounds of the pub.
Yes.
And that's why
Yes.
you come into the pub car park here and then off you go in. But why are we here?
Why are we here?
Why are we here? What are we doing?
We're here to follow in the footsteps of Kevin Costner.
Yeah, and I bet you he parked in this car
I
park.
bet they parked right here.
And he walked up there.
I bet he was stood in this very mud.
That'd be so cool.
It's cold today.
It's part 2 of the legend of Robin Hood. How exciting. So yeah, whilst we're here at Hardraw Force visiting another of the locations from the 1991 blockbuster with Kevin Costner.
It's where he was having a swim. Do you know when she found him? When he was
Yeah.
naked.
Yeah.
Although that wasn't Kevin Costner.
It was a double.
It was a body double, I've been told by
He had a
this
bum
tall
double.
fella.
Yeah,
He had a bum double. So his bum can't be up to much.
I like to use bum doubles.
You need to use a bum double.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
While we're here exploring one of the locations of the Robin Hood movie from 1991, we're also going to explore Robin's merry men and also his later life. As we discovered, God, it's a little while ago, isn't
It's
it?
a while ago we did that, yeah.
Thanks to the weather.
The weather has not been on our side, and we should have come yesterday to do this with Bryony. But it was just raining all day.
Disaster.
So it's now Monday,
Yeah,
which feels very weird
very strange.
for Bryony not to be here. Very strange.
But as we discovered in part 1, we believe that Robin Hood did exist, but he was probably lots of different people, all using the pseudonym Robin Hood. And of course, as we established in part 1, Robin is another name, certainly in the 14th century, for devil.
Right.
So Robin Hood was a hooded devil. So it was a perfect name to use for someone, robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. But today we're going to explore his merry men, and we're going to explore Robin's later life and his death. But for now, I think we should get cracking up that way towards Hardraw Force.
And we think it's going to be raging.
Yeah, we hope
Fingers
so.
crossed.
Let's go. So where are we in the world, Ken?
We're in the Yorkshire Dales.
We are indeed. And what's the name of the village?
Hardraw.
Yes, now Hardraw actually means, it's Old English for shepherd's dwelling. And the shepherds who were dwelling here, when it got its name, have a great interest to us.
Do they?
They do, because they were shepherds who worked for the monks from Jervaux Abbey.
Right.
Now, the monks who set up Jervaux Abbey, first of all, came here and settled right here. They were looking for the perfect spot with, the right land and where they could build an abbey and settle. And this was where they started, and then they set about looking up and down this river.
There's still loads of sheep now. We see sheep everywhere.
Yeah, there absolutely is. So it has a direct link to our ultimate favourite place to knit, which is Jervaux Abbey. Now, I've never been here before,
Right.
but you have.
I think I have. I think I came here when I was a teenager, on a geography field trip, and we did like a whole project about it, about the how it was created.
Right.
And
how was it created? It was 340 million
years
years ago.
ago.
It is. They claim it's the longest drop waterfall in the country, and it is above ground, but below ground there are probably some down there which drop further than this.
Right.
But supposedly it's 100 foot.
Wow.
And now it doesn't say it's definitely 100 foot. I don't know why. You'd have thought that they'd have
You'd be able
used
to measure it somehow.
with the laser thingies,
Laser,
and
yeah.
but clearly that's not been done.
But it's in a very dramatic kind of valley, and we you can't go up here. If you can
we
see.
think up there, that's where Mary Mastrantonio, whatever her
Yeah.
name is, will have been, taken to do the filming where she
Can you
looks
remember
down.
where she looks down on it?
Yeah.
But you can't go up there. The path's cordoned off because it says danger.
I mean, it's funny because if you look, it looks
There
like
is
it's been
steps.
properly done.
Yeah, there is steps, and maybe they did that for the film. Who knows? Well, you don't know, do you?
You don't know.
But we can't go up there, sadly.
But that's cool.
We'll be able to look up and see the spot, hopefully.
And we'll be able to see where the stunt double. But then I wonder when Kevin
sort of,
Well,
because
he's
clearly...
behind the waterfall,
Yes,
isn't he? You see him
yeah.
behind the waterfall, getting
Yeah.
his clothes back on.
Yeah.
But that's just not him swimming and getting out that you see. Sorry to burst your bubble, that's not
terrible.
Kevin's rear.
Now you're walking along and you see this round thing and you think, this is a roundhouse. This is something from maybe prehistory. It's not at all. Would you believe that right here they hold a brass band competition? And we're going to see these things all the way up. The natural amphitheatre that's formed, the owners of the pub thought it's going to be perfect for brass band music. And it started out, it was very small, but then it was, and I think it actually stopped, but then it started again in the 70s, and now it's absolutely huge. They get loads of bands and loads of people coming and they walk along, they listen to the bands, and it is a competition and there's winners at the end. So that is where brass bands perform every year. But also as well, we get these lovely bridges over the river that's flowing down, and obviously Hardraw Force is up that way. But as we've said, we're here to discover more about the legend of Robin Hood, and the best place to start with discovering the legend of the Robin Hood is to look at the very first books and manuscripts, and they were poems. They called them jests back in the 1400s and the 1500s. And the earliest one, the first mention of Robin Hood, was by a guy called William Langlands, and the poem's quite long. It's called Piers Plowman. And I think to find out who Robin Hood is and who his merry men were, we need to get and look at those poems. So let's have a listen now to some of those poems, and let's discover who Robin Hood and the monk was. And it's not Friar Tuck. Think more of the monk, who betrays Robin in the film. Think more of him, but let's go and hear a bit now of Robin Hood and the monk.
Robin Hood and the Monk was found in a manuscript collection written about 1450. It's believed to be the oldest surviving written ballad of Robin Hood. It begins with Robin and Little John in the green wood. They argue, then go their separate ways. Robin goes to St Mary's Church in Nottingham. Little John goes to Sherwood. After being recognised in church by a monk who runs to Nottingham to inform the sheriff, Robin is captured by the Sheriff of Nottingham and his men. The other outlaws learn of their master's capture, so consequently Little John and Much the miller's son set off to find the monk, who is on his way to London with a letter to convey the news to the king. John kills the monk and Much kills his page, so they themselves make the delivery. Unaware of who they are, the king makes them yeomen of the crown and sends them back to Nottingham with a letter ordering the sheriff to send Robin to him. On their return, John and Much are received by the sheriff, who invites them to dine. After dinner, while he is asleep, they free Robin and all return to Sherwood. The sheriff realises he's been tricked and is afraid he has been punished. However, luckily for him, the king is impressed by the outlaw's cleverness, and he forgives both Robin and the sheriff.
Okay, we're here. I'm going to talk quite loud because the waterfall's incredibly noisy. But so this is where he was swimming in the pool at the bottom, and then if you look up here, can you see there's like a tiny little path down between the rocks, and that's where she walked down, Maid Marian. That's where she walked down, and he stood just up there looking down at Robin having his little swim. So we're here and we made it. How exciting! And it is absolutely raging, like I thought it would be. It's like you can hear it and you've been able to see it, but it is unbelievable. I can't imagine what it's like to stand over there and look at it. My goodness.
So we've met Much the miller's son, we've met Little John, and we've met the Sheriff of Nottingham in the very earliest tale of Robin Hood. But what of Guy of Gisbourne? What of probably his most fought against enemy?
Robin Hood and Guy of Gisbourne was found in a manuscript now known as the Percy Folio. Robin Hood and Guy of Gisbourne appeared in his Relics of Ancient English Poetry, published in 1765. The ballad is archaic in language and has some similarity to the play of 1475. This is a much deeper and dramatic story. Robin meets Sir Guy, who admits that he's hunting Robin Hood. The two decide to compete in an archery contest. At this point, Guy is unaware of his competitor's identity. Robin wins the competition and reveals his identity. This results in a long battle with the sword. However, Robin eventually slays Sir Guy and beheads him. He sticks the head on the end of his bow and proceeds to cut Sir Guy's face with a knife so he cannot be recognised. With his grisly prize, Robin returns to Barnesdale disguised with Sir Guy's clothes of horsehide. He blows a horn to inform the sheriff that Robin Hood has been slain. However, Sir Guy, Robin in disguise, tells the sheriff he does not want gold as a reward, but would rather kill Little John. The sheriff grants the request, but Robin cuts Little John's bonds, and together they put the sheriff and his men to flight. Little John kills the fleeing sheriff with an arrow to the heart.
So here we are, at the famous spot in Sherwood Forest, Yorkshire Dales, where Robin takes his bath. And what we've established by looking at these early stories of Robin is all the main characters. And you'll notice there's key ones that aren't there. Maid Marian, for example, she didn't appear in the story until 1513. It was a poet, Alexander Barclay, who actually took Maid Marian Marian was something like the Maid of the Summer. It was an old English tradition. I can't recall the specifics of it, but he took an old English folkloric tale and he interwove it in a poem that he brought out in 1513, so a long time after the legend had already begun. Look at this. This is cool. I've got no idea what it is. It's completely ruined and it's very small. You wonder actually if this may be, because this has been open to the public for such a long time, perhaps this was where someone used to be that used to take money as they used to go up in Victorian times. Who knows? But what we've established so far with our exploration of Robin is we know that there was a guy, potentially called Robert Hood, or Robert Hod, H-O-D, who was active actually in Yorkshire. He was captured. Now, he was an outlaw. He was working on the main road, on the Great North Road, running from York to London, and he was very, very active around Nottingham. Now, he was captured by the Sheriff of Nottingham, who also was the Sheriff of York for a time. And the end of Robert Hod, the guy that definitely existed, is there's arguments as to how his end came about. Some say that he was killed by the Sheriff of Nottingham, but again, one of the earliest tales goes into a bit more detail about what happened at the end of Robert's life.
In this final tale of Robin Hood, a king is mentioned, and it's not Richard the Lionheart, it's Edward, most probably Edward II, that son of Edward I, Edward the Longshanks, who battled Braveheart. Now, within the text, it's mentioned Edward, our comely king, arrives in Nottingham, and he becomes angry when he discovers that an outlaw has killed many of his deer, so he plans to capture Robin. The king dons the clothes of a monk and ventures into the green wood, where he's captured and taken back to Robin's camp. An archery contest is held, and after much frivolity, Robin finally realises that their guest is none other than the king. The king has taken a liking to Robin, and Robin asks for his mercy, so they are all pardoned and invited to court. In the last section, the king and the merry men ride into Nottingham dressed in Lincoln green. Robin lives at court for 12 months and 3. However, he loses all his money and longs to return home. He begs to be allowed to return to Barnesdale so he can pray at the chapel of St. Mary Magdalene. The king grants his request on the condition that he return. Robin agrees, but when he reaches Barnesdale, he decides to break his promise and lives there another 22 years. In the closing verses of the jest, the prioress of Kirksey, who was a relative of Robin, and her lover, Sir Roger of Doncaster, plot to murder Robin. Robin goes to Kirksey to be let of blood and is betrayed, and the gist ends with these words: Christ have mercy on his soul that died on the road, for he was a good outlaw and did poor men much good.
But this final tale also gives us a tantalising glimpse into who the real Robin Hood may have been. He finds a knight who's down on his luck and who needs £400. And in the 14th, 15th century, £400 was a substantial amount of money. And within the tale, it's put across to the listener that Robin lent him the money and helped this knight get back on his feet. Now, the only people at that time who had the means and the ability to lend money were Templar knights. So perhaps the truth is this.
The man who will become known as Robin Hood is a just and noble Templar knight fighting in the Crusades. He returns home to find his land ruled by greedy feudal lords. He does all he knows and takes up arms against those lords, taking care of his family and those in need. And so begins the story of an everlasting English legend. Well, that was fun.
Did you like it?
I loved that.
Oh, it was great. There wasn't a long enough walk though.
No, I really could have done with, a proper leg stretch beforehand.
And I would have liked a bit more of a walk. It wasn't very far to the waterfall from where you actually parked.
So very, very good for someone who maybe, isn't up for a longer walk.
Yeah.
And also as well, if you're in a wheelchair.
Or if you've got small children or whatever.
Children or, immobility issues, it's a perfect place to go to.
Yeah, because there were lots of tables for picnics as well. And I kept saying, oh, I wish it was summer.
And it's all on the flat.
Yes,
so,
it is.
But there's no, this is hurting the backs of my legs. So yeah, it was lovely. It was a lovely place to go. And the village was super lovely.
Yeah. Very,
Hardraw.
very quaint and...
Very quaint. And very interesting to talk to, as we mentioned before, talk to the lady who was saying that when you've got problems because the water actually moves boulders down the river and you can hear the boulders shifting.
I looked up because I wanted to know what river it was. It's not actually a river, it's a beck. So it must then feed into the river, which I think the nearest river is the river...
Yeah.
I can't say it. It's U-R-E. Can't say that word. But this is actually a beck. I mean, you can't believe that. But you saw the power of the waterfall coming over there.
It's
immense.
Was
absolutely immense.
And you could totally see why Kevin needed a double, because there's no way. I can't imagine at any time that would have been a warm swim.
No.
And also the power of the water coming over. You could hurt yourself.
You could.
You could slip. You could. It's serious.
It wasn't anywhere near as forceful on the film as it was that day, though.
No.
But even so, it's still 100-foot drop.
Yeah.
With water coming
So
down on your head. It's going to be
lamping down.
Yeah.
So maybe he is proud of his bum.
Maybe he is.
And maybe it was the producers who said, "No, Kevin, I'm sorry, but we're sending.
Yeah.
we're sending a stuntman in there.
We can't risk your bottom."
It's time for What's in Your Sweetie Jar.
Oh, that's yummy.
And we're also going to add a little bit to What's in Your Sweetie Jar and talk about What's in Your Freezer.
Are we?
Yes.
All right.
But to start with, now, I do fear that there is a theme to the sweets of this country. Because we actually edited out. There was some things that ended up on the cutting room floor from the last episode, and one of them was the section
it was.
What's in Your Sweetie Jar. We covered midget gems, and midget gems are very much like the sweets I'm going to show you today, except much smaller.
Yeah.
And slightly different flavours, but we do seem to have a large amount of different types of sweets
That are quite similar.
that are gummy
Yes.
and fruity.
Yeah, we do, you're right.
But they are all different.
They are. They're all different shapes and themes,
But
aren't they?
A midget gem does not taste like a fruit salad.
No, well, no, they don't.
No.
They are slightly different.
Yes. So don't think that we've shown you all these sweets.
And they're all the same.
Oh, they're all the same. They're really not.
Sweets in England, they're all the same.
Well, things are going to change next episode, because next episode, what are we doing?
Next episode, we're doing dolly mixtures.
Now, if you'd like to get hold of some, or try and get hold of
And
some,
the person knows who asked for dolly mixtures.
and we can try them all together next episode if you would like.
So-
Or we'll try them for you. It's going to be an interesting one, because I don't like dolly mixtures at all.
No, you don't. And I don't mind a dolly mixture, and Bryony likes them. So next episode, get your dolly mixtures ready.
But today it is all about fruit salad. Now, Kate, just talk about your experiences of fruit salad.
My experiences?
When have you eaten them?
Gosh, I can't
Do you
remember.
like them?
Yeah. Well, yes, I like them. But they are, I mean, they're basically all in the shape of different fruits, aren't they? So you get, the red ones are a strawberry. They smell very fruity. Red ones are a strawberry. Orange ones are a little sort of clementine segment. And that's meant to be, I don't know what, well, it's lime flavoured. Does that look like a lime? I don't know really that it does. But they're hard, gummy sweets. I do like them. Does this one have the licorice in, or is it blackcurrant?
It's blackcurrant.
It's blackcurrant.
And it always was blackcurrant.
Oh, right.
It's not that they got rid of it.
Right.
I like these a lot more than midget gems.
Right.
These, for me, are like the fruit pastels.
Mm.
The Lance fruit pastels, but without sugar on.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right, actually.
And midget gems taste different to that.
They do, yeah.
And fruit pastels, normal fruit pastels, taste different again to that.
They do, yeah.
And I'd love to know how these things all came about and the history of these things. Fruit salads were one of my brother's absolute favourites.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they always used to get these.
Right.
Again, you'll see it's Lion again. Definitely our favourite sweet maker. So give them a try. I'm sure you'd like them.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling up some time though. What I needed you to do was to talk a bit whilst I was trying to get this out of my teeth.
You see? I didn't have one for that reason.
Yeah, well,
I can talk about something. Well, what we're talking about next?
We're talking about what's in your freezer.
Well, I have no idea
Kate,
what he wants me to say.
What is in your freezer?
What's in my... Oh, I do know what he wants to talk about.
Well, I don't want to talk about this. Kate asked yesterday if we could talk about this.
Now, let me tell you something.
We are talking about this.
Let me tell you about something.
Tell us, Kate.
Well, Dan has never been a pudding person. When I say pudding, I mean desserts. You've never been a pudding person, have you?
I like lemon tart.
Oh, you like lemon? Yeah, you like tarte au citron, don't you? That terrible French accent. I'm so sorry, Isabel.
But we feel it's always slightly insulting
to try and do a French accent.
We're
that
not
just
French.
Sounds terrible.
Why should we try and do a French accent when we're not French?
Yeah.
We're just
Tarte au citron. I'll do it in my Yorkshire accent.
I remember we used to go on holiday to Spain, and we used to go away with this guy sometimes. He'd come along with his family and camp. And my parents would always try and go and talk up and speak the language, and he would go up and he'd go, "I want that one."
Oh gosh, that's
so a
terrible,
Spanish person obviously has to go.
Which is equally as insulting as
that one there. I want that one.
Talking to them in a loud voice as if they're deaf. That's another thing that people do, isn't it? It's dreadful.
Coffee, hot.
Oh dearie me. But anyway. After Dan finished his chemo and, he was feeling better and wanted to eat something, he seemed to have developed this love of ice.
Pre-chemo, you were feeding me puddings, and this might be where it comes from.
So.
Not during chemo.
During, just to try and get some sort of...
Apple crumble and custard.
That's true, actually. You did want to eat things like that. Yeah,
but
right.
You got them for me. I ate them and I could eat them.
Yeah.
And so you kept getting them for me.
Yeah, because, there's a lot of goodness in, when you're low on energy and, low on things.
I'm not eating.
Something like an apple crumble and custard. There's lots in that, from the custard. There's milk, obviously, which has got your calcium. The apple crumble, there's a bit of fruit in it, but then there's all, there's butter and there's flour and, all those kinds of things. They're good for, carbohydrates are good for your energy levels. But anyway... You developed a particular love for ice cream. Now, this love has escalated to epic proportions.
Escalated to an obsession.
It really has. And, he'll now go stalking supermarkets for because the brands that you particularly like at the moment are Ben & Jerry's.
There's no particularly like at the moment.
It's Ben &
There's
Jerry's.
only 2 brands. The rest are all pointless.
Ben & Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs.
And what they do is... They have a price war. So one of them drops the price of their ice creams to either £2 or £2.50, and they're that price for a few weeks. And then the other one sees that the other one's done that and goes, right, we're going to do the same thing. And then the other one goes up.
So you alternate, don't you, which one? And honestly, you should see his face. He'll get to the freezers in the supermarket and his eyes just go like this. And he'll see a new flavour or something. He's like, oh... And what's the one you got recently? And he came home, he'd been to the shops for me, he came home and he's like, oh, look what I got. And it was like a blondie brownie with salted caramel. It's a big thing at the minute. salted caramel.
Salted caramel core.
Is huge currently in
So,
this house.
blondie, brownie, salted caramel core. Before that, I've been having just the plain chocolate brownie one.
Yeah.
And then
Chocolate ice cream is a big thing as well.
yeah, it is. But I do really like the blondie brownie one. So that's
You can see his face now. He's like, oh, I need some. I think I'm going to have to go to the freezer. And do you know what he does?
I'm out of it.
We sit down to have tea in the evening. And what he'll do, right, as we sit down for tea, he'll go to the freezer, take the ice cream out and put it in the fridge, because it's obviously rock solid. The Ben & Jerry's and the Haagen-Dazs ones are rock solid, aren't they, in the thing? So he's preempting the fact that as soon as he finishes his tea, he's got to have that ice cream. So he'll pop it in the fridge just to sort of, not melt, but just to soften a little bit.
It's got to be the right ones, though.
It's got to be the right ones.
I can't just eat. If you've got me out plain vanilla, Sainsbury's Own, no
and
chance.
that's really the only ice cream that I
Not
want.
interested.
I like raspberry ripple. Oh, I love raspberry ripple actually. I'm not a chocolate ice cream person at all. I don't like chocolate ice cream.
And there's plenty of Ben & Jerry's flavours that I wouldn't go near.
Yeah, like fish food.
Fish food, not interested.
You wouldn't go for.
Chunky Monkey, not interested.
No.
The one chocolate is a definite winner.
Yeah.
Mint and chocolate is really nice.
Oh, that was a great one. It was called Minter Wonderland or something.
Although I do think that's more of
that was really nice.
I think that might be a summer ice cream.
Oh, and it was a specific winter one, wasn't it?
It's mint. And mint for me is refreshing.
Yeah.
And that's not warming. What you want in summer is you want something that's
that was nice,
indulgent.
I did like that one as well.
Oh, it is. It's really nice.
So if you can recommend any good ice creams for this
It's got to be
thing.
a real high quality ice cream.
Yeah.
So I really can't hack the stuff that isn't really, really high in cream and sugar.
And he'll sit there and he'll get his bowl. Oh, and then you also like having a shortbread biscuit in it as well.
Yeah, I can't. I don't really want to if he's not got a shortbread biscuit.
No, he's got to have a shortbread biscuit in his ice cream as well. So
it's very nice. It's my new obsession.
And Bryony's like, me and Bryony are like, oh, Daddy's got his ice cream again, hasn't he? We're like, yeah.
I want to know what's on your TV.
Oh.
I can tell you what's been on our TV. We watched The Affair.
We did.
And I feel a bit dirty saying that.
Yes. We really enjoyed it, but there's a lot, if you've not watched it, there's a lot of adult content, content.
Just think a slightly tamer, and isn't it shocking that we're saying that? It was like a much tamer Outlander.
Yeah, Outlander was different. I didn't find The Affair offensive.
No.
I was quite offended, as you know, I won't talk about Outlander, but it wasn't offensive, and it was actually quite well done. You saw bodies, but you didn't really see much else. Do you know what I mean?
No.
But if you're not into that kind of thing, I would say don't watch it, really.
Yeah.
But we really.
And there were moments about episode 6 where I wondered, I'm not really sure about this.
Yeah, I know. We did think that.
But then it did improve. But it's not a newsroom or a West Wing or a Parenthood.
No.
Which is annoying, and I think what annoyed me about it is the way it ends. I don't like it when things end where it's a total cliff. Well, it wasn't even a total cliffhanger.
Well,
I think if it had been a total cliffhanger, you'd have gone, oh wow.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
We didn't do that, did we?
It was totally predictable.
I just kind of said, was that the last one?
You knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was as if they haven't done the final episode yet.
Yeah.
And for me, personally, I think at the end of any season of anything, you need closure and a hook.
Yeah.
So you've got closure on that season and a hook for you to watch the next one. And this didn't give you either. I mean, well, no, that's not true. It did give...
It did to an extent.
It gives you a mild hook to watch the next season.
It answered a load of questions, didn't it? But then it has left it open for the next season,
which airs this year.
Right. So we did enjoy it, and it was and it did make us have conversations every night. We were like, what do you think's going on there, and why has he done that, and what do you think's going to happen? And so that was good.
And also, we are people who stop watching very quickly if things aren't any good.
Yeah, we will.
And so, that has got to be a good thing that we did sit through it.
So I would say if you're not easily offended, then I think you will enjoy it.
So we're now hawking what we're going to watch next, but what we're watching right now is we started watching Walking the Himalayas with Levison Wood.
Very good.
He did a thing, 2014 he said it was, but I think it aired the beginning of 2015.
Right.
Or maybe it aired,
Maybe it was this time last year.
Yeah, I think
that feels right.
I think that was. And I can't remember where he walked now last
the
time.
Nile, he walked the Nile.
Which was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
He's totally bonkers. He's ex-army.
Yeah.
I think he might be ex-SAS.
Is he really?
And they're just walking through... He's walking through areas which, were it not for conflict, would be beautiful places and you'd want to go.
They are beautiful places, but nobody wants to go, and it's so sad.
Last episode he was walking through Kashmir. So obviously India has been fighting Pakistan ever since the British Empire pulled out in 1946.
Yeah.
And the people were
lovely.
Even the soldiers.
They were all lovely people, you know, happy, smiley, welcoming people.
And it's just so sad, isn't it, that conflict like that can ruin areas which...
And a beautiful country, you know, it was going through Pakistan and into India, so on that border area, absolutely beautiful.
I think your heart would always start to race a little bit faster if you saw that you were 2 miles from Islamabad.
Yeah. We saw a sign and I went, oh, Islamabad. But this is the problem. This is what you associate with it, isn't it? And
you associate
there's no
what you see on the news.
As a tourist, you would go to these places.
It was interesting, wasn't it, though? Because he was saying that these used to be tourist spots until the Taliban killed 12 walkers on some mountain.
A couple of years ago,
and then everyone stopped going.
I know.
So we've been watching The Affair. We're now watching Walking the Himalayas with Levison Wood. I think we'll be picking up that Egypt programme with Joanne Fletcher.
That's very good. It's on BBC Two. It's just started a new series. She's a Egyptologist and she works at York University. She's a professor at York University. What's she called? Joanne Fletcher.
Yeah.
She always wears black. She's entirely dressed in black. She's got a very distinct
I always find
image.
Is a very cool sort of thing to wear when you're in a really hot climate. It doesn't suck in the heat at all.
She must be boiling, is all I'm saying, you know, walking through Egypt. And her umbrella, you know, they have umbrellas to keep the sun off. That's even black. And I said to Dan, that's not going to deflect the heat, is it? You need a white umbrella. That's just going to absorb it. She's obviously just got an image of...
She's a cold person.
She's got an image of that's all she wears.
What's off your needles?
So what's off my needles, you ask? Well, one thing is a project I was working on last time, and the other thing is...
Yes, Kate. What's off your needles?
The other thing is brand new on and off since the last podcast, which is very exciting. So the first thing that I was working on last time is my scrappy socks. If you remember, I was making these out of opals and Regias, Osterman Step, all those kinds of sock yarn, and I have finished them. So here they are. Ta-da! Oh, I think they're lovely. They came out really nice. This was the second one that I knit, and can I just tell you, can you see this yarn here? Oh my gosh, I am absolutely in love with this yarn here. Dan's eating sweets because I'm talking. This speckly, gorgeous, and it's this. I used one of the minis that I got in I spoke about it last time. Do you know the opal mini swap that lovely Amber did for me? This was one of the minis in there. And it came, I think this is the person's Ravelry name actually, it must be. So it came from Alchemy. So if that's you and you just happen to be watching, I can't imagine you are for a minute, but I absolutely love this yarn, and it's the Opal Memory number 2497. I looked it up, of course, but it's discontinued. I think it was a good while ago it was discontinued, so I can't get any of it, and I'm deeply, deeply sad. No. So it's Opal Memory was the range. This particular colour was 2497. So Alchemy, whoever you are, I obviously don't know your name, thank you for this mini. I absolutely loved it. I'll show you again. Opal don't seem to do, at the minute certainly, they don't seem to do this kind of speckly goodness. It's this section here. The yarns don't really look like this at the moment. They look more like, if you look at this section here, they look more like this. This is one of the Van Gogh. So, you know, if I will look on D-stashes and things, but if I ever see any of this Opal Memory, I am going to grab it quicker than I can blink.
She's going to grab it quicker than I can say, I need to tink back a pearl stitch and I've forgotten which side to pick up.
Do you know?
Which bit do I go for?
Where is it? Like that.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
So I loved it, and I knit every tiny bit of that mini into there. I knit it until it was, every tiny bit. So I absolutely loved that. So yeah, so I finished them, and what I did actually to finish this, and what inspired me to change my needles was my Stitching Time blanket. The borders, I was knitting on a little straight needle, and I decided that was bugging me a bit. So I switched it, and I thought I'm going to try Chiagus, because I never really knit with them, and I did have a 2.5mm circular needle in my stash that I just never used. I don't know why. So I was using the Chiagu for the borders, and I absolutely love that needle. Oh, and the cord in particular that I love. So I decided to order one in 2.25mm and try it for the sock, and I loved it. Loved that. So I think the next time I magic loop, I'm going to use Chiagu's, definitely. The red lace I used, the cord was fantastic. And for magic loop, sometimes I find the cord can kind of twist back and just make it a little bit awkward, and it gets in your way or whatever. This, because it's a stiffer cord, I just found it stayed put, and I loved it. So that's what made me whiz through this second sock quickly, I think. So they're all done, really enjoyed them, and I will definitely do scrappy socks again. So that's my first one.
What's your second one?
My second one is another pair of socks. What is it? What is it about socks with us at the moment?
Tell us all about them.
My other pair of socks are a start and finish in 3 days.
Wow.
I know.
That's amazing.
I could not stop knitting these socks. Now, I'll pop them on the blockers and then I will tell you what the yarn is. The yarn was a gift, actually, and I have got another skein of it. A lovely friend sent us a gift at Christmas, and this was one of the skeins, and I've got loads left, and I think I've got enough to make another short pair. And it's opal, and the range is called Wintermond, and it's extra large 8 ply, which they class as a DK weight. I actually think it's a little bit heavier than DK. I think it could be looked at and said, oh, that's more like a worsted. It's 150 grams, 320 metres. So DK worsted sort of weight. This particular colour that I knit is colourway 8921, and it translates to Winter Market. 8921, Winter Market. And I do have another skein that was also gifted to me that I'm going to knit Dan socks with. So it's a heavyweight sock, and I cast on 48 stitches. But even so, I started knitting these at 4 o'clock last Friday afternoon. Brian had got in from school, she was sat down, she was watching a Minecraft video, what a shock. Tea was cooking, and I thought, I'm just going to sit down and cast on a sock. So I cast it on at 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, and I finished it Sunday afternoon. That's 2 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that 2 days or 3 days? But in any case, I just could not stop knitting these socks, so here they are.
It's 2 days.
It's 2 days, isn't it? Gosh, I can't. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's why I was thinking 3. But look, aren't they lovely? And I wanted to maintain the pattern down the front here, so I pulled from the middle of the ball for the heel. And I really like how that, it's difficult to do, isn't it, when you're looking the other way. Oh, look, I'm going the wrong way. I really like how that maintained that pattern down the foot. These were just an absolute joy to knit. I can't even begin to tell you how fun these were. And I think, sometimes you just want that, don't you? You just want to cast something on and you want to really enjoy it and just get absorbed by it and just want to knit it. And I did, and I just, I loved it. And I've kind of been doing lately a slightly different heel, and it's a combination of 2 heels, I suppose. It's garter border like it is for the Hermione's Everyday, but then I do a slip stitch. And I think Xena, you did this on one of your socks as well. It might have been seeing Xena that made me want to do it. So it's got a 3 stitch garter border and then slip 1, knit 1, round. because I love picking up. I don't know if you can see just how it does give a really neat finish to the pickup, and I love that. You do, the way that I pick up, I'll just show you the inside, you do get a bit of a ridge when you pick up, but that never ever bothers me when I'm wearing it. That's the inside. Nobody ever shows the inside of their socks, do they? So I'll show you the inside. So if you can see here where I've picked up, there is a bit of a ridge. It doesn't bother my foot when I'm wearing it, because these are like house socks. I wouldn't wear these in shoes because they are a thicker sock. So I just love them, and that's how much I've got left. There seems to be a lot, so I think I've got enough to make a shorter, you know, like a little ankle pair of socks with it. And then I've got another skein which is blues and greens, so I'm going to knit those for Dan. And then that inspired me to make another purchase, which I'll talk about in
Exciting.
Endy Bits. Yes.
Is you finished?
Yes.
It's the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
What's happening? It's
Right.
a fondant fibre giveaway.
Yes.
Yes.
Now.
Now.
We spoke about this last time.
We spoke about this last time.
We were going to decide how we were going to do this giveaway. If you remember,
we were going to decide, weren't we, how we were going to do this
Why
giveaway?
are you copying me?
Because that's what you did to me.
Oh, is it that annoying when I do it?
No.
We've got the 2 bags from Lovely Deb and the Laura's Frock sock yarn.
I'm not happy about that.
Gosh, my back's hurting.
So rub your shoulders.
It's not really my back, it's the bottom of your back. Do you know? Oh, it's so... Oh, yeah, it's nice. Carry on doing that forever.
So carry on.
Oh, it's nice. So we were deciding how to give this away because we think it's such a super duper prize. We didn't want to just say, you know, just comment on a thread. We wanted to make it a bit more exciting for people. So this is what we decided we want you to do. If you want to win this, obviously, you don't have to participate. We would like you, and I know lots of people have Deb's yarn, not this one obviously because this is a new one that's coming out, but if you've got a skein of Deb's yarn, any weight yarn, doesn't matter what, we want you to knit something out of Deb's yarn, absolutely anything, and we're not going to put any restrictions on it whatsoever. You can knit anything you want as long as it's in Deb's yarn, and then we want you to take a picture of that finished piece, but we want you to stage it in such a way that it will appeal to Bryony, because we're going to get Bryony to choose the winner.
We're sort of revisiting the
bakery
bears
bear.
in the wild.
Can you remember the bears in the wild way back?
So the idea then was to just take a picture of a bear in the wild.
Yeah.
This time, you could take a picture anywhere, but I'll give you a tip off. If you think how much Bryony enjoys favourite places to knit and how much she loves to get out and about, what we'd love to see is just find somewhere local to you. I would love to see as well, and I think everyone would love to see, if there's something historic close to you. It doesn't matter if it's 40 years old historic. If it's something historic close to you, go visit it and take a picture there.
Take a picture of your
she's
finished,
going to like that.
Yeah, of your finished whatever. It can be a toy, it could be a pair of socks, it could be a hat, it could be gloves, it could be mitts, it could be a shawl, anything. We don't mind at all.
And she will then pick
And
the
then
winner.
we will get Bryony to pick the winner. We will leave this open for 2 episodes. We want to give you enough time to do it. So we will we will announce who the winner is on episode 43.
Yes.
Which is in 2 episodes' time.
Yes.
So we will close the thread. It'll be 2 days before the episode goes out. We always put an episode out on a Friday, so if you wanted to work that forward, but it's about a month. And we think that's enough time, you know, for people who have got a skein in their stash, or if you haven't, you know, pop over to Deb's shop and grab one if you want to join in for this little, I don't know what we'd call it.
And this will have no effect at all on the winner. The winner will be picked on the quality. Well, Bryony will pick it on the picture that she likes the best. But if you fancy having a go at filming maybe a little bit of a favourite places to knit and sending it to us, you could upload its private video on YouTube, and then you could send me the link. Then we'll all have a look at that as well, because it would be lovely to see some of your favourite places to knit. Use ours as a template if you like. Try and tell a little story. That would be wonderful to see too. But that has no effect on the winner. The winner is picked by Bryony on the picture that gets posted in the thread which Kay will set up.
I will set up a thread. It'll be there for when this podcast comes out. So I've got a couple of books, and I got The Quilt As You Go, yay, Made Modern. that I think is very popular right now, and I can't wait to make something out of this. I haven't had a full read of it yet, but it's a fantastic book. So I got that, and then to go with that, I got a jelly roll. How exciting! It's a bit too nice to open at the moment. It's like a skein yarn, and I got this one from Lovely Dan. It's Moda, and it's Kindred Spirits. And I'll turn it around so you can see the colours. Can you see? Oh, I love the colours. It's just beautiful. So I got that, and I'm going to make some kind of quilt, I think. And I might also get a layer cake, which are I think the 10 by 10 blocks, aren't they, in the same fabric to make a different, different sort of block. So I might do that. And then I also got a subscription to Pom Pom. Thank you so much. So I've got a year's subscription to Pom Pom, which is very exciting. I can't wait to get those. And again, I've not really fully looked at that. Isn't it terrible I've not had a chance to sit down and read these things? And then I got a couple of skeins of yarn. The first one, I've wanted this for ages. Hedgehog fibres in the Monet. Thank you. Why did I say Monet?
Because what you're doing is you're pronouncing it like how people would do in America.
I did, didn't I? I'm picking up on everybody's accent.
She was doing French earlier.
I know.
Now she's doing American.
I'm like, multilingual. Monet. It's in the Monet colourway. So I've got that one. Beautiful, beautiful colours. And then lovely Deb sent me some hand spun when she sent Dan's as well. And this one is merino, bamboo and silk, 206 metres. And look at the colours. She knows me well, doesn't she? Look at that. I might knit a toy with this. I'm thinking I might knit the new elephant pattern from Susan Claudino, the Bugle. It's out in February. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that. So that might be an elephant. And then lovely Amber sent me a full skein. Amber. A full skein of the Spotlight base from Leading Men Fibre Arts. Wait till I show you the colour. You can see the colour. It's called Stage Kiss. Is that not fantastic? So I can't wait to knit some socks with that one. Oh, love it. And I have mentioned this to our patrons actually, but I just wanted to talk quickly just about my sewing. I've mentioned before I'm having these issues with my back and I'm waiting. Oh yeah, I keep doing that. I keep, I've got this physio appointment at the end of next week, and it's a funny thing, sciatica, because it affects your legs more than your back, and I've just really, really struggled with it, and this has obviously affected my sewing in that I've not been able to do very much. Now the bag club, the January bags went out on schedule, they're fine. I'm working on the February ones now, and they will go out as planned in February, 1st February, 1st of March. Don't worry about that, they will go out. What sewing, oh don't do that, that kind of hurts. What sewing I will get done other than that, I really don't know. It may well be that I don't get anything sewn for the shop until March, because I don't want to push myself, and it's just horrible, and I hate being restricted like this, but there's little I can do about it, I think, at this stage. But
to be honest, you were saying at the end of last year you had some design projects that you wanted to get nailed anyway, and that's going to give you the time to do that. Towards
the end of last year, I was sewing a lot, and I think that to be honest, I think it's the sewing that's brought this on. So it's probably a good thing that I just ease off on it for a little bit, and it does give me the chance then to do more, to work more on knitting designs for the next couple of months. But one thing I did do yesterday is I've got loads and loads of DPNs, as I think a lot of us have, and they're all kind of in random little bags, and I was like, oh, this is driving me nuts. I thought I'd just try and sew up a little pouch, I suppose, to store my DPNs in. So I did this little zipper. How cute! This little zipper pouch, and this one has just got all my 2.5 mils in, so you can see inside. And it was really cute to make, and I really liked it. And I think also I did make another one that I sent to someone as a gift, and I've made it a little bit deeper, because I think, especially for your sock yarn blankets, most people knit them on DPNs. I think this is a perfect little notions pouch for that. You can put your DPNs in, pair of scissors, you're weaving in darn, your sewing needle, and it's a perfect little thing. So I'm gonna, when I get back to sewing, or when I feel that I physically can do it. I'm going to put some of these in the shop. I just think they're so cute. So I just wanted to show you that one.
Cool.
Yeah, and we will save the yarn shop yarn till next time.
Yes, wonderful. So we are starting a new thing next week.
I've got one more thing to mention.
All right.
Sorry, the sock lit along that we've got going on.
Yes.
The Cozy Toesies. Oh my gosh, fantastic amount of chatter going on in the threads, and I think we've got over 80 finished pairs of socks so far. Absolutely amazing. So you've got until the end of January to finish your socks. We showed the prize like last time, but we'll show them again when we draw for prizes. So keep knitting your socks, and it's going fantastically well.
Yeah. Yeah, sock knitting. Yeah. Okay. I've completely lost my train of thought now.
Yeah.
Next week, we're starting something brand new. Tutorial Tuesdays will always be sacrosanct in this house, so the tutorials will continue on, but there are well over 60 now, so we thought it's about time that we started doing something for the more experienced knitter. So we thought what would be super fun would be if Kay pushes the knitting boundaries of herself and you go along the journey with her. And that's Knit Along with Kay, and that's starting next Thursday.
Might need your help.
$5 plus Bakery Bears private Patron channel, and also on Facebook group. So that's going to be super fun.
Yeah, I'll be knitting things that's maybe going to push, like Dan said, it's going to push me a little bit. And
yes.
You can all knit with me, and you know, help me when I get stuck.
Quite often,
So-
I find that one of the best ways to learn. It's all right talking about, this is how you do it, and if something goes wrong, then this is what you do. Actually, seeing things in real time and experiencing things in real time should be super fun. And we're going to film it in a slightly different way as well.
Yes.
It's going to be a little bit more, less tutorially and more sort of showy,
Yes.
which should be really good fun. We will be back in 2 weeks for the first round of Knit or Forfeit with the trout versus the bear, which will be really fun. So I'm right in the process of sorting it out with Tilly at the moment, which should be great fun. And announcement now for each of the specialist subjects. Tilly Trout, as you know, is baking.
Yeah.
I'll be then battling off with Robin, and that's history. And then hot off the press, Kay will be finishing off the first season of Knit or Forfeit with
Xena, Warrior Princess. Guess what we're going to do as our specialist subject? Oh my gosh, you're going to fall over with excitement when I tell you our specialist subject is Downton Abbey.
Well, that's super fun.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So you've got all that to look forward to over the next few months. So yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Patrons will see you on Tuesday. Also keep
Yeah.
your eyes open, $10 patrons, for some exclusive $10 footage coming out very soon, within the next 48 hours.
Yes.
And also $25 patrons, you've got some exclusive footage coming out next week.
Oh, you have. I did something the other day, yes.
All super exciting.
And we've got Pop on the 20th.
We have.
Yeah.
Oh, I want some pop now on Thursday.
I'm quite thirsty. We need to have a drink, don't we?
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye. Happy knitting.